The Fun Belt. So named because while there can be good games in this conference, it's usually of no consequence to the national scene. Until James Madison decided to crash the playoff party like a maniac covered in purple and gold streamers. It also remains the very last conference in college football that's still divided by divisions. And if you want to know why divisions were scrapped to begin with, just wait until we get to the train wreck of the Sun Belt West. First things first though, I need to pay the damn bills.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Today's video is proudly sponsored by PrizePicks, America's #1 sports picks app. And since we're talking about the Sun Belt, a conference where absolutely nobody seems capable of behaving normally for 12 consecutive weeks, PrizePicks gives you another way to make all that chaos a little more interesting. PrizePicks isn't just another sports betting app. It's a daily fantasy sports app, and getting started is incredibly easy. Just pick more or less on a few players and build your own lineup. You can pick individual player stats like yards, points, strikeouts, touchdowns, and more. You can even make team picks, including who wins and what the point spread of the victory might be. And if you're watching the Sun Belt and have absolutely no fucking clue who's going to win, congratulations! You now understand the Sun Belt. You can even predict the total points scored in the entire game. So you don't really have to trust Appalachian State, Marshall, Louisiana, or whichever collection of maniacs decided to ruin everybody's predictions that week. For me, it's just what makes PrizePicks fun. I'm already going to be watching these games. I'm already going to be digging through the stats and already making my own predictions. So I can take a couple players or matchups I feel good about and build a lineup around them. I feel so good about myself now that I even bet on the Cincinnati Bengals to win the Super Bowl this year. Okay, maybe I'm a little delusional. PrizePicks is now available in most of the United States, including California, Florida, and Texas. Right now, you can play your first $5 lineup and get $150 in bonus lineups if you win. That's right, PrizePicks switched up the offer, so there's no better time to jump in, lock in, and win that first lineup. Use code HMA when you sign up to get $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5 or more lineup. Click the link in the description below and join America's #1 sports picks app, PrizePicks. And always remember, play responsibly.
We now join our regularly scheduled programming already in progress.
It'll be Jason to Gingell. Out of the hold and Mesco. Good snap, good hold. And the kick is blocked! Appalachian State has stunned the college football world. One of the greatest upsets in sports history.
Guys, you do know that Michigan win was almost 20 years ago now, right? I don't know if you figured that momentous win back then still carried momentum for you into 2025. But either way, last year we saw the Mountaineers completely fall apart. The offense couldn't buy a third down conversion, constantly turned the fucking ball over, and their defense resembled the air defenses of fucking Somalia with being near the bottom of all of FBS in pass defense. Frankly, you should have packed it up and gone home after November, but thanks to 7 damn teams declining an invite to the prestigious J-Lab Birmingham Bowl, you got the honor of getting your dicks kicked in for the second time this season by your rivals, Georgia Southern. The good news is that your defense was able to get some help over the offseason, except for D-tackle St. Farrier fucking off to Auburn. That's going to be tough to replace. On the bright side, Colton Ferries is back at linebacker alongside transfers Keyshawn Thomas and Alex Mitchell. You also consider Aiden Benton and Caleb Sandstrom coming back on the defensive line, and I wouldn't lose hope in the defense just yet. As for the offense, you just need to hold on to the fucking ball. I don't care if the quarterback is Henry Hasselback or Malachi Singleton. Just get the fucking ball to the wide receivers without giving the defense enough cookies to trigger type 2 diabetes. If you can at least make it back to 500 and actually earn a bowl game appearance, that will at least keep your fans from drinking all the goddamn moonshine. Ryan Beard arrives from Missouri State with one mission in mind: get Coastal's teal-looking ass moving in the right direction. He has the experience under him to do it. After all, he just led Missouri State to their first ever bowl game in their first ever FBS season last year. Mostly due to a high-powered passing attack, but just one problem. Coastal doesn't have a fucking quarterback. Sure, bringing in Tristan Gardner and Clayton Kopic to work alongside Carmelo English is nice, but who the fuck is throwing the ball? You have your pick of the litter at wide receiver from Deuce Bailey, who comes in with Beard from Missouri State, to Trevor Jackson, who escaped Pigtown through a sewer pipe, and Trey Guerrera Jr. from Tyler Junior College in Texas, who Phil Steele pegged as the likely number 1 this year. Fuck! I would say you can just spam halfback dive again like you did last year, but that offensive line is looking about as scary as a Build-A-Bear. The good news is that outside of a secondary that's been thrown together like a pile of Legos, the defense doesn't look awful. They did take the ball away a fuck ton last year, but I don't think it'll be enough to save them from mediocrity this year. But hey, at least the fans are still coming to games. Sure, it's because they were giving away glizzies for free, but shit, it looked good on TV, didn't it? There are 3 guarantees in life: death, taxes, Georgia Southern being incompetent on defense. Mike Mutz comes in from Stephen F. Austin as the new defensive coordinator to hopefully stop the bleeding on defense. He certainly could do it. After all, Austin was number 1 in FCS in tackles for loss and 10th in sacks. But they also had the players to pull that shit off. Georgia Southern isn't completely hopeless. Brandon Tyson is back at linebacker alongside MJ Stroud. Add in Rayshawn Miles from Abilene Christian and Diego Aviles from Division II Wingate, and there is just enough there maybe to be a little less shit. Maybe. The one saving grace for the Eagles is the offense, as they can usually score 40 points a game, and that isn't expected to change this year. Journeyman quarterback Max Johnson, who has been playing college football for LSU, Texas A&M, and North Carolina.
Oh no, there's a man down.
North Carolina sits coming to college football in 2020. Jesus Christ, how are you still playing? He's in his 7th and final season and is one of the last journeyman quarterbacks we've become accustomed to across the sport. If he can just stay fucking healthy for once, he's got a lot of weapons to throw to on wide receiver. I expect Southern to probably make a bowl game, but each game will be a fucking track meet in order to get there.
Nelson, honey, where have you been? Ha ha! Ha ha! Ha ha!
You are awful! 1-11 last year. Pretty much pathetic at everything you did. And head coach Del McGee somehow still has a fucking job here after going 4-20 in his first 2 seasons. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He is a dead man walking at this point. The man hasn't been an FBS opponent since 2024 and has only 1 conference win during his time there, while every other game involves them getting nuked from fucking orbit. I'd say it's time to put up or shut up, but there's nothing to be hopeful about here. They need to just blow it up and start from scratch, beginning with the head coach, maybe the athletic department as well. If McGee is still here at the end of the year, they would have either pulled a miracle by making a bowl game, or the athletic department quit giving a fuck. And I'm betting it would be the latter. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you the princes of the group of 6, James Madison. Probably the most successful FCS turned FBS program in recent memory after winning the Sun Belt and earning a spot in the college football playoff last year. Yeah, they got their asses royally handed to them by Oregon as a reward, and they mostly got in from the ACC getting drunk and imploding at the 11th hour, but still, they were a playoff team. However, just like after 2023, when a certain Kurt Cignetti took them to a Sun Belt title, former head coach Bob Chesney has fucked off to the greener pastures of the Rose Bowl. So who did you get as your new coach? Dear fucking God, the prophecy has been fulfilled. Good old Sun Belt Billy Napier has returned home to the Sun Belt Conference after thoroughly shitting himself violently at Florida for the better part of the last few years. And what sucks for him is that this isn't Louisiana, where the expectations were just not to be shitty. Cignetti won 19 games in 2 years, and Chesney won 21 games in 2 years. He's got to keep it going, or he's going to be chased out of Harrisonburg, Virginia, as fast as the goddamn Confederate Army. Again, just like any group of 6 team worth of shit, the transfer portal picked this team apart. New offensive coordinator Cam Aiken now has to deal with an all-new running back room. But the good news is you got a 1,000-yard rusher from Drake in Nick Herman, and Seth Cromwell comes in from NAU to act as a bulldozer alongside returning running back George Pettaway. The War Pigs up front should also be solid, so running the ball won't be a problem. At least it better not be, because the quarterback and wide receiver rooms are, let's just say, subpar. The transfers at wide receiver are a complete what-if, and the quarterbacks consist of former James Madison third string and likely starter this season, J.C. Evans, Arrington Maiden from Memphis, and Davi Belfort from UCF. I'm not saying they suck. I'm saying they have as much experience as a virgin at a frat party. The defense is even more questionable as they had to completely rebuild a defensive pass rush. Sure, they have experienced linebackers returning, but outside of that, they were not able to reload as well as they did after Signetti left in 24. In a team full of unknowns, they're going to need to figure out who they are, and fast, if they want to repeat as conference champs, let alone smell the playoffs. After being hung, drawn, and quartered by the transfer portal following the 2024 Sun Belt Championship victory, Tony Gibson appears to have rebuilt the herd. Despite the 5-7 season last year, the offense did what it needed to do. Quarterback Carlos Del Rio Wilson is back for another round, and the dude is a solid quarterback, only throwing 5 picks last year. DeMarcus Lacey is gone, but Toby Payne is back at tight end, and the combo of Adrian Norton and Owen Sweeney at wideout is going to be a pain in the ass for opposing defenses to deal with. If you can just run the goddamn ball for once to give the quarterback a break, you might go places this year. Marshall was also a sack machine last year and might be again with Braden Ward returning on the D-line. However, Naquan Crowder, Sid Kaba, Katron Evans, and Jamal Weiss are all gone. The secondary might have some good depth, but if the front line can't pass rush, the opposing offense will be able to find some holes to get through. They have enough talent on paper to go bowling this year. They just got to finish strong and not collapse again in the final 2 weeks like last year. They might not be contenders yet, but there's plenty to like about the young Thundering Herd out in Huntington. Old Dominion won 10 games last year. That's the second time in 12 years in FBS. They also beat Virginia Tech 45-26, which prompted the Hokies to fire head coach Brent Pry into the sun. Good times for the Monarchs. Anyways, you fuckers were picked apart in the transfer portal, so time to start from scratch. Remember that excellent ground game last year? Kiss that shit goodbye. The offense lost everyone. Yes, everyone. Only running back Devin Roche, who wasn't even the main weapon on the rushing attack last year, came back. Instead, the Monarchs will now look to the air behind Jackson Potter Jr., who comes in from Wazoo. He's a dual threat that can throw and run, which is nice to have given the offensive line probably won't be able to give him a ton of time in the pocket. However, unlike the offense, the defense has more of its parts from last year that made it the second best in the Sun Belt. Mario Easterly returns to the secondary alongside Zion Frink and defensive tackle Bucci Farmer. It's not enough to realistically compete for the Sun Belt title, but a bowl game is very doable with this team. Moving out to the West Division, we begin with Arkansas State, a team that damn near made the Sun Belt title game last year. The main reason they didn't was due to an inconsistent offense that didn't hit its stride until late in the season. The offensive line has almost everyone back this year, which should make things a little easier on the quarterback, whoever the fuck that is. Jalen Rayner fucked off to Iowa State, so it'll be a fight between Ethan Crawford, Drew Dickey, Trey Owens, and Jeremy St. Hilaire. Running back Devin Spencer needs to step the fuck up to help make up for the uncertainty at quarterback, because the defense sure as hell ain't going to be helpful. They got gutted by the portal, but to be fair, they were giving up 400 yards per game, so if anything, tearing it down to the studs might help them out here. The safeties are probably the best in the conference as Ag McGee, Brandon Barnes, and along with Brandon Grell return to the fold. Add in the transfer defensive backs in Mekhi Shaheed and Jalen Hayward to complement the slew of cornerback transfers. There is some actual potential here for the Red Wolves. If Butch Jones' defense can find a way to prevent teams from scoring 4 touchdowns per game, they have a chance to contend again and maybe even win the damn thing. They won't be excellent, but they should be good enough to win this division, which is all you need to be at this point. If there is one thing you could say about the Cajuns, it's that they're consistent. They're consistently mid, but 6 wins in a bowl game is the minimum they expect at this point. I say minimum because the year prior was a 10-4 campaign that was far more successful. The pressure is on for head coach Max Desormeaux. At 29-25 overall heading into year 5, there needs to be a breakthrough this season if Louisiana will have any long-term success. The offense was boom or bust last year. It either worked like a well-oiled machine or blew the fuck up like a Ford Pinto getting rear-ended. The run first, ask questions later method has worked, but with the running back room looking like shit outside of Anthony Reagan Jr., they gotta start throwing the damn ball more. The receiving core doesn't suck. I mean, Shelton Sampson is a nice option with tight end Seaton Jensen being a solid checkdown option. Their quarterback genuinely has one of the best names in college football this year too. Lunch Winfield. So given his nickname when he stole and ate a whole chicken wing from his grandfather when he was only a few months old. A good name for a fine young man. And he had himself some lunch in the final few games of last season, both on the ground and in the air. However, if this dual threat meal of a man wants to make a real impact as the clear starter this year, he needs to stop feeding the defense turnovers every week. Louisiana played in 6 games last year that were decided by a touchdown or less. Turning the ball over was a major decider in most of those games. If they can succeed and hold on to the ball a little more often, they have a chance to be in the hunt for the division. My standards are rock fucking bottom for you assholes at this point. After a 3-9 season last year and no winning season since 2012, I don't think anyone expects anything from you besides being embarrassing. Not a lot of movement in the portal this offseason and more red flags on the roster than the Soviet fucking Union can only mean more of the goddamn same this year. Seriously, either get it together in the next couple of years or start looking for a new home in FCS or something so that a real team can take your spot like Tarleton State. Get out of my fucking sight! Welcome home, Bulldogs. You never belonged in Conference USA, and the scheduling mishap you had during the offseason where you were part of both the Sun Belt and Conference USA schedules shows as much. Besides that, you're now in the same conference as your rivals in the Cajuns and ULM, and will be able to battle for Group of 6 Louisiana supremacy. Despite a seat hotter than Hades last year, Sonny Cumbie not only still has a job, but actually took L Tech to 8 wins and an Independence Bowl trophy. That alone is a miracle, but it's time to come back to reality. Rather than play the frankly weak as shit Conference USA, you have now arrived in the much harder to handle Sun Belt. Half of your wins last year were against teams that frankly anyone could have knocked off, like New Mexico State, UTEP, Southeast Louisiana, and Sam Houston. The offense will be fine. Maybe. The running back room did thin out over the offseason, and there is some uncertainty at quarterback with Blake Baker returning from injury. The biggest concern there is up front. As new faces mean it'll take some time to gel together on the offensive line. Defense, however, likely will be one of the best in the conference as they have a slew of veterans coming in from the portal to complement the returning veterans. What sucks is that safety Jakari Foster, who nabbed 8 picks last year, is gone. Jacob Fields, who made 92 tackles, is off to TCU. Makai Mason, who got 14.5 tackles for loss, went off to Kansas State. And Michael Richard was nabbed by Sparty. Sure, they had a lot of turnovers and tackles last season, but the secondary was getting burned more than a house in Detroit. If the Sun Belt West wasn't so damn soft, I would say you would be in trouble, but considering you're here now, I think 6 wins is still possible. Maybe even contend for the division, who the fuck knows? Boy, it was sure neat seeing South Alabama get 3 winning seasons in a row.
And it's gone.
What?
Welcome back to the usual, boys. It took you fuckers a decade to learn how to win in the FBS, and only 1 season for everything to slam into a brick wall. Still, there's a few people who will argue that last year's team was only a couple plays away from a winning season. So what the hell are you doing about it? Let's see here. Bishop Davenport is back, arguably the most important player you somehow kept from fucking off this past offseason. With 2,000 passing yards last year, he could have gone anywhere else for NIL money, but instead you somehow kept him. Now, if he can get a wide receiver that doesn't have the hands of Kadarius fucking Toney, the offense should be fine. Especially with Keenan Phillips at running back, who's going to try and bring some balance to the offensive attack. The linebacking core isn't terrible on defense, but you got to pressure the quarterback more. South Alabama couldn't find their way into the backfield if they were given a map and a GPS and a fucking compass last year. There is some hope that you will make it back to a bowl game, but it's going to take a few unlikely upsets to get you there. Man, that Charles Huff guy did a lot of good shit last year as head coach. I wonder how he's going to do. Yeah, he's been riding the lightning after taking Marshall to a title and bringing Southern Miss back from the depths of 1-11 hell in 2024. So now what? Well, Blake Anderson gets the opportunity of rebuilding Southern Miss into something. What exactly? A triumph of mediocrity? An exercise in futility? Or just one big steaming bag of shit? The offense has next to nothing coming back, despite a half-decent offensive line and okay-ish running backs. The defense, however, was completely wrecked by the transfer portal. This season, the Golden Eagles defense will be a mix of a whole lot of guys with little to no playing experience and all new coaches with an all new system. Like, I get it, it's the fucking Sun Belt. We're not exactly in the SEC here, but for fuck's sake, guys, it'll take way more than a bunch of FCS cannon fodder to get you fuckers anywhere near 500. Prepare thy assholes for Julio!
Who's ready to pucker up? My name is Julio!
From one team off the fucking rails to another who has gotten its shit together for once. From 4-8 in head coach Gerald Parker's first season to a Sun Belt title appearance in a bowl game last year. Now, after the transfer portal and roster turnover during the offseason, everyone is wondering if the Trojans can reload and make a run for the title once more. Adam Austin comes in from Tarleton State as the new offensive coordinator to hopefully do what the Trojans couldn't last year. Make this team score consistently. Goose Crowder is back for one more ride after a slew of injuries over the past 2 years. Goose, I love your name, but it's your 6th year. And if this were Road to Glory mode in College Football 27, your career bar would be negative at this point. Expect Tucker Kilcrease to get a good amount of work this year as well. Unfortunately, the offense is a few injuries away from having their lack of depth exposed badly. It also doesn't help that they might not have much of a running game behind the offensive line that's been rebuilt with paper bags and prayers. Jaheim Merriweather and Jordan Lovett will need to find a way through there if there is any hope for a rushing attack. The defense is starting from scratch, but the linebackers are fine, and the pass rush will be solid behind the returning Donnie Smith, as well as transfers Ty Clemens and Austin Salvati. If the corners can step up and pick off a few passes, this should be enough to give their offense a badly needed boost. A bowl game is pretty possible here. They got 4 very winnable games in Alabama State, ULM, Sam Houston, and Southern Miss. If they find a way to knock off 2 other Sun Belt foes somewhere, I'd say this season would be a complete success. It's a shit show again in the Sun Belt West, so it really doesn't matter who wins that division, because James Madison is just going to run their ass over in the title game no matter what. I'll predict that Arkansas State will get the honor of being sacrificed at the altar while streamers rain down upon them. Don't expect another playoff contender from this conference. It's way too fucked up.
Getting back to what I let go.